And then if people are coming up to the pub, that's at 6 o'clock. They're serving food from. So we'll probably go here for about half an hour to 40 minutes. So we've got 4 people and just invite them to come up to the stage. And then we'll do an introduction. And so Mel Robinson, Peter Hancock's an apology, can't make it from Armidale because of the snow. So Graham is going to come up. Belinda and Travis. So I'll just give an intro to each, and then I think we've got... Do you have another mic? I thought we had 2 mics last time. Anyway, we'll go with 1 mic. All right, so just an intro to each. Graham Glover from, you say Armidale or Uralla?
Armidale.
Armidale, say Armidale. Okay. Well, Graham, you've done this run twice now, is that right? Yep.
Yep.
Known for doing lots of big adventures just on your own, but also with CTR. And got some, basically all the questions I was going to ask Pete, I'm going to ask Graham, because you kind of do all the same fun adventures. And Belinda from Port Macquarie. So Belinda, So Belinda won the 50K here last year, back for 30K this year, and come along to a few of our events now, so thank you. And next up, Mel from Central Coast, or whereabouts on the Central Coast? Long Jetty, making the trip up for the 3rd year in a row? Yeah. So thanks for that, and bringing more crew each year from down there, so thank you. Mel's probably one of our more experienced runners out on course, completed, I was trying to stalk how many 100-milers. I think I got at least 20, but I think it's more than that you finished.
The hundreds, I think it's like 14 of them, and like...
Yeah, but you're not counting all the 6 200-milers.
I'm not counting anything that's over 100 that's not actually a 100-miler.
Yeah, so there's a lot there. I couldn't count it all up properly, but I did pick up a stat that you've podiumed all 6 200-mile races you've done, and you've won the last 4 of 6 of them too. So definitely got some, a lot of experience there and good questions we can throw at Mel. I've got some fun ones. And then Travis Boyle from Gold Coast, or?
Originally Gold Coast.
Originally Gold Coast, but you're travelling around a bit?
On the road full time.
On the road full time, yeah. So Travis is from, was he managed Spring Energy Australia, or?
Yeah, I look after Spring Energy Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, and New Zealand,
Yeah.
Cool. So I had a little stalk. You've run a number of backyards and trails and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Dead Cow Gully and Kenyani. So lots of kind of experience here. And I got a few tailored questions to each, and then some that we'll ask generally, and then we'll throw to the floor. I'll start with you, Graham, so you're right next to me. So this is kind of a question I was going to ask Pete, but one is you've had a tradition of doing these winter solstice adventures where you go out for just a massive day in the middle of the coldest time of the year in Armidale or wherever. So how did that start, and what did you do this year, and what do you think of the conditions that we're going to see this weekend?
Okay, so Peter Hancock, who is a local legend in Armidale, was wondering if he could run on the solstice from the top of Cathedral Rock to the beach before the sun went down. So a few of us thought, well, that sounds like a good challenge. And we started at the top of Cathedral Rock, which is pretty much the highest point of northern New South Wales, bar 1 metre. And it was -7 degrees. And Pete sprained his ankle on the way up. And that didn't stop him. And he'd also had a swim. And we set off. And anyway, it was a long day and a much longer story. But that started a tradition. So we lined up by line up, 3 of us were up the top of Cathedral Rock the next solstice. And every year we've tried to do something similar in that area. The rules are generally, it has to be cold. It has to go at least until midnight, because that's how long the first attempt took. And we did get to the coast at 3 a.m. in the morning that first time. And yeah, it's usually a bit of fun, and anyone's welcome to join on these challenges. And usually someone puts their hands up and regrets it, but then comes back the next year. And so this year we, inspired by something called the Bob Graham Round in the UK, I thought up the Graham Bob Round in Ebor, which tries to hit all of the 1,500 metre peaks in northern New South Wales, which starts with Cathedral Rock, Round Mountain, Point Lookout and Majors Point. And it's a 50-mile loop. And we had a good go at it, and bush bashing through New England National Park pulled us up. And there's unfinished business there, and we'll be trying it again next year for anyone keen. So that was the adventure this year, and we keep doing it because it's a good way to make the shortest day of the year, make something of it. So
make it the longest running. Yeah. So you've obviously run in all sorts of conditions, including did the Cozzy Miler, was it, in the was that last year or the year before? Last year. And you know it's going to be possibly pretty wild out there. Maybe not as wild as up at Armidale right now, but a bit of wild weather out there. So what are your top tips for dealing with cold weather and crazy conditions?
Well, the cliche ones run true. Obviously, you want to stay dry and warm as much as possible. And at Cozzy, I ended up wearing 2 rain jackets to keep the water out, and that helped me stay dry. And the wind is usually the main factor. So if it's super windy tomorrow, just make sure that you're keeping on top of staying warm. So I sometimes carry even a fleece with me on if I know it's going to be super cold, and that tends to help. So yeah, stay warm and keep an eye out for branches falling. That's usually on the back of my mind too. So yeah, that's all I've got on that one.
Well, our course is a little bit more protected than the Cozzy Miler. We are up at a little high, but not really on too many exposed points. So hopefully, shouldn't have really too much problems. We had some people driving out there this afternoon, and there was no kind of branches or major debris down. So,
Great.
Cool. I'll come back to you, but I'll go to Belinda next. So, Belinda, hoping you could talk through your setback that you had with your foot at the start of this year and how you went from that to then finishing UTA 100 and what you learnt from that, and how did that kind of process go?
Yes, I got to run the Bondi to Manly Ultra at the end of October, and the next day I actually broke my foot in, not related to running, in the IRB, the rubber ducky, for surf lifesaving, and I had to have surgery on my foot, which was quite upsetting because I had lots of running plans, as probably everyone in the room does, and I had already signed up for the UTA 100. So the first question I asked the surgeon that was operating on my foot was, so we'll do this on my foot, but do you think I could get to the UTA in May? And thankfully, he knew I was a runner and pretty keen on having a recovery goal, and he said yes. So I think having injury is very much like an ultra, which is like a lot of suffering and problem solving and troubleshooting and having a setback and working towards getting to the start line. So I worked with my physio, I was compliant, I took the time off that I was supposed to, and did a lot of swimming and bike riding. Thankfully, we were in a great part of the world over Christmas, and instead of running, I just changed my mindset and got on the bike, which is great cross-training for running. I don't think it works the other way. I don't think biking helps. Running helps with biking, but biking definitely helps with running. And yeah, I was just so grateful to get to the start line for the UTA 100, which is a big day out in the Blue Mountains, and we had fantastic weather. So yeah, I think the key to injury is that change of mindset and just working with your physio and listening to the advice and generally asking the people that you know will support you in your goals. So I didn't really have too much of a chat to people who told me I was crazy having the UTA 100 in May in my mind 6 months after having a broken foot. So just really grateful to be on the start line.
So how did you stay disciplined? Because sometimes you want to get back into it really soon. You feel like, oh, I'm ready now. But then, you obviously were quite disciplined about going through it.
I think fortunately living in Port Macquarie, there are lots of other options. So yes, I could be at the pool. Yes, I could be on the bike. Yes, there were other things to do. And working with a physiotherapist and just taking it slow and steady. And honestly, my first run back was, after being able to walk, of course, was 1 kilometre. And it was the instruction to walk for 500 metres, run for 1 kilometre, walk for 500 metres, and that's all I could do that day. And I was so embarrassed I couldn't even put it on Strava. And then once I got to running 2 kilometres with the walking at the start and the finish, I started to upload on Strava. And it seemed a bit silly, but I really just wanted to get back to saying I can do something, because I felt like I was missing out on a lot of social and friendship, and I knew that if I was compliant and I worked slowly, I would get back to it, and I felt like I did. But I had really good advice from a really good physio and a really good partner who stopped running, Dennis, at the same time mostly that I did too, so I didn't feel like I was missing out too much. So definitely appreciated having people around me that adjusted what they did, so I didn't feel like I was missing out on the running part.
And one of those is you're up at Washpool. Were you in a boot at the time? I can't remember. Or did you run that?
At Washpool,
Yeah.
I was going to do the 50.
That's right.
And I downgraded to the 25 because my physio said Washpool's too soon,
Yeah.
but we could do Washpool 25
Yeah.
and UTA 100.
Yeah.
If you try to do the 50 at Washpool, you might miss out on your UTA.
And so you were coming back to do the Washpool 50, which you'd done 2 years before. So you won that race. That was it was a pretty fast field. Actually, I think it was the quickest ladies race we've had
Claire
on
Bartley,
that day.
I don't know if
Claire
Claire's
and
here.
Lou
She
Clifton
was
and
just
yourself
behind me,
all, all finished within 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So there's another highlight. So can you talk us through that run and what came from it?
I'd been single for a really long time, and running was enough in itself. I really wasn't looking for anyone, but partway through the race, because a lot of Washpool not being too busy at the time with numbers, I ran across someone who from behind looked very much like a cyclist. And I caught up to him and said hello and introduced myself, and found out that he was also from Port Macquarie and was suffering a little bit on the run, seemed like a nice guy. And then caught up again at the finish line, and nearly 3 years later we're actually still running together. So I did beat him that day, but he's since learned a lot about nutrition and doing more training to get to the 50k races, and I don't think that I'll be beating him too often in the future. But yeah, Dennis and I met at Washpool, so thanks for organising the event, and certainly no longer single, and it's really nice to have a partner in crime to come and camp and run and bike with. So yeah, that was a pretty cool event. Thank you, Keelan. And Annabelle.
And you're going to beat him tomorrow as well, right? Something to say about that. Okay, next question to Mel. So, Mel, you've travelled for this race, I think this is 3 times now, but you've also travelled across, Australia and done a lot of different races. So what motivates you, or what piques your interest to sign up and go travel and do a race? What are the things that you look for and want to go do?
Actually, I just like the really interesting races. I like getting out there and seeing different places. So
I go to WA quite a bit because I quite like the countryside over there. I like the tracks and just seeing different things is pretty much it. And I have no reason not to, so I do. I kind of have to have a reason not to rather than a reason to. And it works pretty well for coming up with good adventures and coming up here each year.
And you've been doing more different types of adventures like row gaining and the orienteering. So how's that changed since you first started your kind of running?
The orienteering, I actually had a friend who I was rowing with on the Central Coast, and there's an orienteering series down there, and she'd been orienteering since she was a kid. So we went and did our first Central Coast Summer Series event, and it was like a road orienteering event, and I had no idea. She's telling me, no, we can't run for the 10-pointer, it's too far away, it'll take too long, and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, then we did a row gain, and it was pretty wild. We were like, there's no way they'll put that control way deep down in the bush off the track, that the control was down there. And since then, I just really got into it because it's pure adventure. I mean, particularly row gaining, they trust you with a map and a compass just to go out into the wilderness. Like, none of the trail running, it doesn't. It's all about you stick to that track, you have to carry this mandatory gear. Row gaining is more like, off you go, we'll see you in 12 hours time maybe. And I've actually found it helps a lot. Sometimes even on like these sorts of events, if the course isn't fully marked or if there's something a bit tricky, I'm like, it's still not as hard as that row gain where I was stuck in the bush for 3 hours, or that orienteering event where I wandered around for a couple of hours lost. So yeah.
And yeah, so maybe for some people we might need to talk. I'm curious to talk a little bit more about the row gaining, and also like, is there anything, it's quite a small kind of niche kind of thing, if you could talk to it, and also like how has that kind of changed your kind of ultra running more broadly, like, because it's like you said, it's pure adventure. Have you found yourself picking different trail running like events now from that, or?
So row gaining, for anyone that doesn't know, it's basically like orienteering. You have a map and a compass and you're out there, but it's a much larger map, and you're, rather than being out there for like an hour, say in an orienteering event, the one next weekend, we're going to be out there for 12 hours in the Watergans. I think, I don't know if it's changed the ultra running much. It's more being able to do the ultra running. Really, it makes it a lot easier for the row gain. So 12-hour row gain, that freaks some people out, whereas I'm like, that's fine, it's like a 100k race. It's nothing, we'll be right. And I suppose for the flip side, it's just given me so much confidence with the navigation for the ultras. So I'm not worried if I run into something, it's like I can sort it out on course, because in the row gain, a lot of it's managing, like you get to something and you're lost, or you don't know where you are. There's incidents, you have to be able to problem solve on the fly. And I find ultra running, that's a large component. Once you get up into your 100 milers, it's something's always going to go wrong and you have to be able to problem solve that.
Yeah, so do you think that's something that row gain, like the people who do row gaining, or that row gaining gives you, is like, it is all about managing and problem solving?
Yes, yes, a lot of it.
And how that corresponds. Yeah, could you talk more about how like that corresponds to your 100 miles or 200 mile races, and even if you got some examples of similar things like that?
Not really. I suppose in the ultra marathons, there's incidents where gear will break, or I've gone off course slightly and I have to be able to get myself back into it. In the row gaining, the flip side is this control is taking much longer. We need to reroute what we've plotted. So it's similar. It's not quite the same. It's just the same style of problem solving. You're learning how to solve a problem on the fly.
Yeah, that's good. So for those who have to solve a few problems out there tomorrow, you're doing the 50. There's a few here doing the 50. I've done this race a few times now. What do you like about the course, and just general advice to those doing the 50 or any distance tomorrow, really?
The 50 is actually, it's quite runnable course. I actually quite like its layout. So you've got the climb up into the forest, and then you're undulating all through there, and you've got that break up between the constant running plus the hiking, because some of the hills, they're just too steep. Like, I'm not going to hike up, I'm not going to run up to that lookout, the really nice one where you can see to the ocean, that I quite like. There's no way I'm running up to that. That is way too steep. So I get a nice little hiking break up to it. For the problem solving, on this race it's not too hard because it's not that long, but it's mostly, you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. Like at some point the race will be like, I feel fantastic, this is the greatest thing I've ever done, and you're running with super ease. And then suddenly you'll hit a low. It's like, this is terrible, I make terrible life decisions. Why am I out here? I can't do this. I need to like quit. And
I
it's,
really pay for this.
it's all of that. Everyone goes through that and everyone feels it. But the thing is, when you're in that low, you can't see that height, but it's still there. It's going to come again. So sometimes if I have like, it's going terrible, I'll just let myself have that little tanty for a couple of minutes, like, this is terrible, I hate this, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell myself off for entering, and then you just got to pull it all back together and go, this is okay, I can keep moving, and you keep going. Or if it gets really bad, get to an aid station, just have something to eat and drink, just have a few minutes time out, take a seat, just chill out, get everything back together, and then keep moving.
Just keep moving.
Just keep moving. Don't like the cut-offs are huge. All you gotta do is just keep moving. Like just if you do take that time out, because often the time out, it's you can like beat yourself up out there. Like you can push yourself and just keep on pushing, and you may not recover. But if you take 5 minutes out, you can often pull your world back together completely, and then just run off. So yeah, just keep moving, pretty much.
Yeah. Sound advice. Okay. Next question to Travis. So I'm curious how you got involved with Spring Energy, and also like if you could talk a little bit to it, and then like your own journey and how it's kind of shaped your own running and stuff. Yeah.
Yep, no worries. Yeah, so I got introduced into Spring about 5 years ago. So, doing a lot of running and that, I sort of had a few gut issues with certain gels and products and drinks that I was taking. So I could never really find the right one that sort of suited me. I don't really deal with like too much, artificial flavors or sweeteners or anything like that. Some people go fine with them, and then some people it's not too good. It used to, I don't know, you can call it like a bubbly stomach or something like that, or it might make you run to the toilet pretty quick. But yeah, when I found Spring, it's just all like natural. So it's all like fruit, nuts, and like basmati rice. So it's basically a lot what we eat during the week. So your stomach is used to it. So you're sort of well trained, your stomach's trained to it. And then as soon as I got sort of straight onto that, I had no problems at all. And then, as a lot of you would know, that nutrition is so important if you're doing these sort of trail runs, road runs, whatever it is, long distance sort of stuff. If you can't get your nutrition down, there's going to be more lows than what you were sort of saying before. But yeah, it just changed my whole sort of style of running, and yeah, that's sort of something I could just tick off and keep moving forward.
So what are you using tomorrow?
Me?
Yeah.
I'll be using a bit of awesome sauce and acai for those
Okay,
ones.
so
Yeah.
just gels?
Yeah. I'll have gels, and then I'll have an electric light in the drink as well.
Oh, yeah. And how does that change if you're like doing longer than 30 or 50?
Yeah, so I'll utilise some aid stations for sure. Getting bananas or fruit down and stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah, then I do, sometimes if we're going long distances, I'll put some sandwiches and stuff in my bag as well. Won't just rely straight on gels.
Yep.
But yeah, my stomach sort of tolerates them pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah, really well, so I don't have any problems. But yeah, aid stations, yeah, so important as well. So whatever they've got there,
Yep.
as long as I can eat it.
Yeah. We'll have bananas, watermelons, electrolytes, thanks to Trail Brew. We'll have ginger beer, Coca-Cola, lollies, snakes, probably something else too, I've forgotten, but chips, salted chips.
Okay.
So yeah, should have a bit of everything there.
That's why we sign up.
Yeah,
Just eat all the food.
eat all the food.
Yeah.
So I've got a question to each of you, maybe start with Travis. So, actually, let's see how we're going for time. Got a couple of questions here. So, kind of following up for that one, have you in this year been experimenting with any different gear or food or nutrition things in your runs?
Yeah, I did this year because I started playing around with some backyard ultras. So
Yep.
yeah, there's definitely ones that you can have a gel out there, maybe have one as a backup, but it's that concept of style of running is definitely just eating as much as you can, not relying on gels. But yeah, I definitely went down the little soup and you know, with backyard ultras, is, I don't know if some of you say Cocoa Pops and stuff like that, and some breaks, which is really high carbs and went down really quick. But yeah, and then I've sort of just sticking around like Trail Brew is sort of one of them that I've sort of used as well. But yeah, haven't mixed too much up. I sort of found what works for me, and I don't really want to go too far away from it.
What about you, Mel?
I don't think I've actually had anything new. I've kind of settled on what works for me. So all my gear, I just replace it when it gets worn out. But it's stock standard. Nutrition wise, I run mostly on like baby foods because they're gentle on the stomach, and they come in little pouches and they've got nice flavors. They have a nice dessert and breakfast range.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have favorite baby foods if anyone wants any tips. And yeah, that's mostly what I run on. And for the longest stuff, I'll throw in like cabanossi or like what are those like Twiggy sticks or anything that's like shelf stable. Because I just like the salty meat protein. I'm not super fussy with the food. I can't do gels that well. I can do them in like your really fast marathons or halves, but I find that they upset my stomach after a few hours, so
And you've obviously had like upset stomach experiences.
Yeah.
So what little things have you done to solve that?
Ginger.
Ginger.
So I really like the ginger beer, which you have, that's my favourite. And I have the ginger bears. You can get ginger bears at like Woolies or Coles, and I quite like them. But mostly it's ginger, or you can get like Bundarin ginger cordial. I've used that as well. Just mixed it in and had like a pre-made bottle of that ready to go. Or you can get the ginger shots. Basically, it's just ginger. Anything with ginger in it, I'll use it. I don't care if it's placebo, it works. So yeah, that's what I go to settle my stomach. And if it's really rough, more so when it's hot, I tend to go off the solid foods, and I'll do like watermelon and Coke or something like that, where I'm just getting that sugar rush and some calories, but I just wait until the temperature drops so that I can take more in.
Yeah.
I listened to the Milo winner of the UTA in a podcast, and she had ginger, and she was unwell for like 30 kilometres, but she just kept on having like the ginger bears in her mouth, even if she wasn't eating them. So ginger seems to be a good tip. Yeah, I like real food. I love the aid stations, and I think the aid stations are good because you can have what you feel like, whether it be the chips or the bananas, or and just saying hello to volunteers is a good distraction too. But I think what your body feels like is probably a good guide. So have a bit of a mix. If gels work for you, great. I haven't tried spring, but gels don't sit well with me either eventually on the longer runs. So
And like baby food.
I haven't tried baby food yet either.
Baby food's pretty good.
I'd second the baby food. I've been trying macro baby food picking the same flavours that I used to get my little kids years ago, and they're amazing. So, but yeah, I like a good fad, so I've also tried fasting during long runs and found out that definitely, there's people who do 100 miles on nothing, literally, and it was a bad idea. If you're cranky, that's usually a good sign. Some food and nutrition's in order, and those fasted runs were pretty miserable. So I've now baby foods preference. I have had spring. Pete, who usually sits here, he carries springs all the time, and I'm usually very undernutritioned, and he has flicked me a few of the spring gels, and he also carries some, I don't know if Spring do the maple syrup, but there's a maple syrup one out there somewhere which is amazing. So yeah.
Okay, and so following on from that question, what's the weirdest food you've eaten in an ultra?
I think my first wash pool years and years ago, my wife and 1-year-old son delivered a really big burrito to the 30k mark. And it was loaded up with chili, and it tasted delicious, but it didn't work out so well for me.
I don't know about weird, but chocolate milk was a really good tip someone suggested, and I really enjoy it. It's got good protein and sugars, and my stomach seems to take it well. So I know at the UTA I kept getting excited in my mind about potential chocolate milk at the next aid station where Dennis was meeting me. So That's a good alternate to sort of the watery electrolyte drinks with good protein and yeah.
Mine was actually lamb stew, but it was their own lamb that they'd slaughtered, so it was especially tender and delicious. Anyway, that was quite good. That was over in WA.
I've seen you've written fruit tingles.
Oh yeah, I like fruit tingles too.
And they're obviously not for like carbs, just to break up flavours, or
Yeah, I just kind of like fruit tingles.
okay.
They're just easy to eat. It's
Yeah.
just something, and it's just I don't know. They're kind of like fizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just distracting. I like.
Distracting.
Yeah, it just gives me up. I mean, I'm getting some calories from my fruit tingles.
Yeah.
Not many, but some.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you look in the backyard ultra world, like Cocoa Pops is a normal thing. That's Phil Gore's like got everyone onto that. But another thing I think, I've had jerky. I've had on a run before, and it's like there's the salt and just the protein just sort of, I don't know what it did, but then I was able to just intake food a little bit more after that. It's like got my taste buds straightened back out. So I was a bit iffy about it, but it did work.
All right. Might throw to the audience. You got any questions? You can pick on someone if you want, or just general questions, and we can go through. Anyone got something? Oh, Annie, of course.
Are you going to do a fortune cookie before you...
Are you going to do a fortune cookie? Maybe you can speak to Pete's fortune cookie tradition while he's not here.
Yeah, every adventure in the last 10 years, Pete lines up and hands out fortune cookies to everyone participating, and it's become a bit of a pre-run or adventure ritual. Unfortunately, the fortune cookies got as far as Ebor today and had to turn around.
And so does he gets the message of the fortune cookie? Is that something he's thinking about during the run? Is it just like a bit of fun? Or
It's a bit of fun, but we do there's been occasions at 1 a.m. in the morning where the fortune cookies offered good advice and helped us get through. So it's now actually pretty unusual for fortune cookies at the start of an event.
And following up on Pete's adventures, you've joined a few of his swim adventures, which can be just as adventurous as his run adventures. Can you give some good examples of either a swim adventure you've joined him on or a swim run adventure? Because I know he's done both in some adventures, and you've joined him as well.
Yeah, so this character, obviously, he inspires a lot of, there's no...
Silliness.
A lot of silliness, and I often think, in the Cosy Miler, when I was having a tough time, I had to remind myself that Pete did a 16-kilometre swim the day before in icy cold water. So, and so this year, I wonder if he can watch the live stream, but he turned 50 the other day, so he's doing a 50-kilometre swim in October around some island, I think Keppel Island or something. So, and he's, an amazing mindset, and he's a swimmer with a running problem. So swimming his swim every single day. I think he's up to well over
4,170, he said, days in a row.
Yeah.
But you've actually joined him on some crazy swims. I saw one, he was swimming out in a dam at Tamworth, 20k or something, and you were on some paddleboard handing him gels. You've been a few...
Yeah, okay. So if you want that story, so he was doing, I think unofficially he did the Australia's longest inland swim on Copeton Dam, and I was supporting him on the paddleboard, and I swam a little bit with him, and I think he did 30 Ks, and he tows a little bag behind him, and we were kilometres offshore, and he just floated around there, opened up his bag and pulled out a tin of baked beans and downed it and gave me the can and put his bag back together. So lots of weird stuff happens out in that swim. I ended up bailing from the paddleboard because a storm came in, and couldn't convince him to get out of the water until it got really gnarly, and I'd actually had to like force him out to sit in the car while lightning was hitting around us, and then he got back in. So
So yeah, he's still swimming right now in like 5 degrees in the middle of Armidale. He's probably gone for a snow swim or something. But he has got some type of thing where he's done what's his ice ultra where
Yes.
can you talk to that?
Okay, so there's a Ice Mile Club where they go down to Thredbo and have to swim a mile in under 5 degrees. And he's also apparently got someone in America who's a big fan of Pete, has started up a Ice Ultra Club, Ice Ultraman Club. So, and Pete's the only one on there currently. We'll have to look it up. But yeah, it involves swimming an ice mile and doing an ultra. So
Ultra 100 mile.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
there's crazy people out there, and it all starts with doing a 50k run.
But you've joined him for a lot of that. Like, wasn't there one in COVID where you did an Ironman indoors? Did you do that as well?
No, I got to observe that one. There was another Armidale local, and they got set up at the Armidale University, and they had a treadmill for the marathon, a stationary bike for the ride, and swam in the indoor pool. And yeah, people came in to interview them while they were doing this, and yeah, that's another example of the tough mindset of, I mean, that's got to be atrociously boring, but it also very tough. So yeah.
He also makes a bit of fun out of it. And I asked Mel, because I know you've probably had some pretty silly, but also, I guess in hindsight, fun and memorable experiences. So like, one I've noticed is it frogs? You like frogs?
Yeah.
And you talk to that and you're like 3 a.m. runs looking for frogs.
So there's this Frog ID app, and you can record your frogs. And I like to run around and just collect different frogs, like not physically collect them, just record them. Like, and sometimes take like photos of them and like selfies with them and things. I don't touch the frogs. I just photograph and record them. But yeah, I like to. Well, a lot of my runs, they just take place I'll go out like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. just because I have to fit in. Like, if you're trying to fit in a 6-hour training run and you're working full time and all the rest, you've got to fit it in somehow. So I start running at that time. And the frogs also happen to be out at that time. And so, yeah, I have favourite frogging locations. And there's some frogs, like, there's some rare ones I'm really trying to get recordings of. I've got photos of, but man, they're hard to get. So I go on missions. So yeah, I have a lot of Frog ID recordings and photos of frogs. And then occasionally I go into like doing frog bums for a while. So I've got like a whole collection of like, you'd think there's some weird things going on my phone, but there's a lot of frog photos.
That's,
Yeah, I got a question.
that's a funny synchronicity. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, obviously you guys all of you have done some really amazing things, and the stories, Graham, that you're sharing about Pete. What do you think, when you refer to them as crazy humans, I mean, just these humans that are doing, even you guys, you're doing outstanding and very admirable quests that you've shared. But what is it that drives that? You talk about that tough mindset. Obviously there's discipline, there's consistency, coming back from the injury and all that sort of stuff. But what is it that makes these people, particularly the Petes, reach that next level and live their life like that? So that's part of my question. And the other part of my question is, when you take on a new adventure and there's that little bit of fear, I'm about to set myself a bit of a new adventure in December, and sometimes your mind goes to that fear kind of stuff, and how you counteract that with that, that embracing of that new risk and that new challenge that you're setting yourself. Like, what is that, and how can you sort of speak to that, I guess, a little bit? Go, Graham, you got it. Like you can relate.
I think it's a slope. Everyone's on that slope somewhere. And I hinted that, I could start with doing a 50k and you want to see how far you can go, or you just want to, like, it exposes you to an adventure and you want to have more adventures. But I'm not sure Pete's afraid of anything. I'm terrified of lightning.
Yeah.
And that's made me think really hard about starting some runs, and overcoming that is thinking about things statistically, thinking about the adventure and the outcome of it, and that you've got great race directors like Keelan that are going to make sure that you get a message on your phone to take cover when there's a storm coming.
So does Pete have any sense of risk adversity, or is he just one of these people that literally just get out there and there's no fear and you're just going to jump into whatever adventure? Like, because, you know, that is a particular kind of mindset, and, you know, sometimes I've discovered, I've moved into the triathlon world and used to ride really, really fast down hills until one of my friends had a crash, and then I was like, oh shit, you can fall off a bike and actually hurt yourself. That didn't look like fun. And so now I've got a little bit of risk adversity in there. So is he like completely like just doesn't have any, like, is that what makes you go harder and faster and take on a bigger challenge? Or do you think there has to be a balance of having a little bit of fear and being a little bit of risk adverse? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I wonder about these people's mindset, and you too, about like all of you, like what gets you, you know,
Well,
going out there and doing your orienteering.
Pete's an anomaly, so you'll have to come back next year.
Yeah.
I actually try and calculate my risks. So I'm aware, okay, there's slightly different to when there's a guy running and a woman running. I have slightly different risks I need to calculate for, particularly running around towns early hours of the morning.
Yeah.
That's significantly more dangerous for me than it is for a guy, and I'm aware of this fact. But deep bush, there's no one out there. I'm the crazy one. Like, there's nothing. Like, my dangers out there, they're all things I can kind of control, or I do actually carry a PLB when I'm out alone because of various incidents which involve snakes and things. And last year I almost drowned when I got swept away in a flood creek, which the PLB would not have helped with because I was getting swept away in a flood creek. But I got out of it. Like, there's always risks and there's always danger, and there's been multiple times where I've come close to death while running, just because of dumb things. But I didn't die, so I gotta just keep going. It's like, but I do factor things in. Like, I know when I go out there in the early hours of the morning, particularly in summer where there's not much water, if I get bitten by a snake, I can't move on that track. So that's a risk that I have to calculate for, and I carry a PLB for that reason. I carry a snake bandage for that reason. And someone generally knows where I'm running and roughly what time I'll reappear. But it's kind of just calculating it. Like, you accept that there's a risk to it. And when I'm racing, so in this race tomorrow, this one's not an A-list race for me. Like, I'll happily run. I thoroughly enjoy the run. But there's like that bit where you go down to the waterfall and it's quite technical. I'm not going to run that like a crazy maniac. I want to run again next weekend. I've got future plans. So I kind of calculate to a point where I'm comfortable enough running it and I'm not going to injure myself, so I can continue having fun running it. Whereas if it's an A-list race, it's all out. Like, I'm do or die. I want to win this thing. I will just keep going. And if I'll have to, like, if I break a leg, they'll pull me out. If I don't break a leg, we're still going. Like, that's kind of it. But yeah.
I can't speak for that much adventure, but I just remember doing my first 22k trail race and thinking maybe I could do more than this, and then doing a 50 and someone telling me you could probably do 100 because the first 50 is in the legs and the second 50 is in your head, and I'd agree with that. So much of it's in your head. And the other thing I think is I love the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, because there's no hack. It's just getting up, doing the kilometres, eating the right thing, getting enough rest, managing injury. It's not a hack, but you can do lots of crazy things if you look after your body and you plan, and that's what you want to do. And I'd agree. If you do 50 tomorrow and you think that was hard, but I can do more, you can. It's all in your body, and then you can do something like Coast to Cozzy.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't hard. That was just road.
Just 240 kilometres of...
That wasn't hard. That
Yeah.
wasn't a big one.
But yeah, I'd really recommend that James Clear book, Atomic Habits, because it's not a hack. It's just day after day and getting that consistency.
Yeah, I think it's sort of, these guys have covered most of it, but it's like finding what is possible. Like you get caught in, you're like, all right, do a 50, okay, can I do 60? And then it just keeps creeping, but what is possible, where can you go? And then you sort of want to find that limit. And you're definitely going to go on the Hurt Locker, like you were saying before, you go through these waves up and down, but the growth that you'll get from it yeah, something completely different. I think ultra running, the growth that you get from it, maybe if you're doing business or whatever it is, it'll help you. It'll help you for the rest of your life. I think that's a big thing, but when you're out there, you just got to remember to smile and have fun as well. Yeah, that's the biggest thing with trail running, but yeah.
I'd like to have a crack at that question too. Actually, I can't think of any events I've signed up for and I thought I want to do this like because it's hard. I do it because it's actually exciting. Like all the 100 milers, I'm like, that course looks awesome. That place looks awesome. I actually want to go there and do this. I want to be in nature, or I want to enjoy that. Like, I don't think I'm going to do this because it's going to destroy me. That might be different across different running events, like not destroy you, but that I want to do that because that's hard. Like, I think there's probably, you're running on a limited fuse if you kind of take that approach to a lot of events. So yeah, my experience has always been like, I want to do it and I enjoy it. And then it might seem crazy from the outside, but some of the ones that like you've designed, Graham, with Pete, or we've designed together, or Adrian and I have designed, have probably just been from like, that looks like a really cool spot and it just happens to be super remote in the middle of nowhere and it might seem crazy from the outside. So I'm curious, particularly someone who's done like a lot of trail, like those 100 miles, 200 miles where they're adventure style versus like, if there's like a truck race or a backyard ultra. I mean, Graham, you've done backyard ultras as well, and that's a different type of mental approach. Yeah, maybe you could talk through like how you're approaching tomorrow, thoughts of how you could, get through tomorrow, enjoy tomorrow, and have a great run. And if that makes sense.
I just remember, like, you chose to do the run. You're out there to have fun. So when it's tough, just remember I chose to do this. And Mel's had some good advice about the ups and downs.
Oh, can I say, I often think when it's hard, I'm like, well, where else would you rather be? Like, because this is really hard. And I have never come up with an answer to that question that would take me away from what I'm doing, even though it's really hard. So that's one of my go-tos. Where else would I rather be?
I don't think I have such a positive outlook. It's mostly like, you signed up for this, you're stuck with it now. You've got there's only one option. I just remove all other options. You got to get to the finish line. And when it's a really long race, I'll break it down by 8 stations. So there's no way you can picture 200 miles. Like if it's a 350 kilometre race, you try and think of that and you're going to DNF immediately. But it's 25 kilometres to that first aid station. So in this case, was it like 14k, I think, to the first aid station? And then it's another 2 kilometres to the next one, then 5 kilometres. And I just break it down by 8 stations. Or in this particular race, I break it down by waterfalls and lookouts.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I'd probably back up a lot with Keelan saying is like I haven't run out here, so I'm excited. Like, I haven't been in this area. I want to look at the lookout and the waterfall. It's an adventure. And I know, if you are hurting, but just look around. Like, look where you are. Like, it's pretty lucky to be able to run in these sorts of areas. So, you just got to take it all in. That's a part of it, big part of it. When you are hurting, just, even talk to another trail runner. They'll get you through.
I've just got one question for Keelan. When you did the Grampians miler and they cut the race because of weather conditions, how did you deal with that? And did you have a moment where you thought, I'm not coming back here, or was it always going to be, I'm coming back next year?
So I finished in the first year, the 100 mile, then I went back the next year with a time goal, and pretty much like within 2Ks, I thought I was actually going to DNF at the 10K mark. It was like too hot. And then the race, my time goal, I like, oh, whatever, like you said, Mel, like I travelled all this way, I've got to finish the run. And then it got called off at 100 Ks. I think I was like, I'd like to kind of come back. I think I did sign up pretty soon. I think I signed up at 9:01 and the rego opened at 9 o'clock. So I think I was the first to sign back up, partly. But then the motivation for me is, why would you go do a run and travel all that way and spend all that money to do a run you've done twice? And it's kind of like the motivation is, well, I just love that area. Like, it's just so beautiful and amazing. And for me, the running is, I have a time goal and I want to do really well, but that's the most important thing to me. for me personally, like I wouldn't travel down there just to run around in circles. Like, so yeah, that's a big motivation to go back. Dennis?
Just coming off the back of that previous question and what you guys are saying, it's sort of what I'm getting from this is you guys don't enter stuff and do stuff looking for like, oh, I think I could win that. It sounds like, like you guys enter things and you go and do challenges because it's interesting to you and you want to go and see an area, or like, oh, I wonder if I could run 200 plus Ks. It's not like, oh, I think I could win that, which I think there's probably a lot of us that have the mentality like, oh, I don't think I'll do any good at that. Like, I might not get a good result at that. But I think you guys set a good example of just, sticking your toes in and having a go. So I was just wondering if that was sort of where that previous question.
Yeah, part of it. And just building on that as well, like that's kind of my motivation in having this event and designing the course. Like I didn't want to just do a course on that wasn't interesting as well. So I hope you all have like at least an interesting experience, whether that's the waterfall, you're looking in the rainforest, or the mist out there was really nice this afternoon. Like, didn't want to just do something that felt like it was just running for the sake of like a competition. Like actually having an adventure is a really big part of it as well, if that kind of answers, well, the main motivation for me at least.
Yeah, second that. Adventure, try something new, and yeah, have some fun, meet some interesting people.
Yeah, and Keelan organises great events. So if you like the one tomorrow, come back and do others, because he and Annabelle and Sam are always great to be around and super supportive. So thank you, Keelan, for running another great event.
Got to run first.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I think trail events, they're not ones you enter to win. That's never, you can't enter it for the event. Backyard Ultras, on the other hand, that's like a totally separate story because they're kind of, a bit boring. But yeah, I did enter Sydney Backyard Ultra purely because they had prize money and I went in it to win it, and that was my entire purpose. And yeah, so that one panned out. But yeah, these sorts of ones, no, I just here for the run. I just enjoy it. It's a good adventure.
Yeah, I think you made it pretty clear, mate. It is just going, it's an adventure all the time, but I always love the community as well.
Yeah.
Trail runners, like, if it's your first one tomorrow or your second one or whatever, talk to the person next to you, shake their hand, like everyone's just friendly and we'll have a chat. I reckon that's the best part. Even when you're out there, if you're hurt and someone will come up and check up on you. I know done a fair bit of road as well, they won't even talk to you. No offence.
Any final questions before we wrap up? Cool. So yeah, pub is serving food if you're coming up. We went there for lunch. It was actually quite a good feed, and they've got heating and everything in there, or fire going. So yeah, it's actually quite nice just to sit there. Actually, if you got your dinner sorted, good to come up for just to chill out. But yeah, thank you, Graham, Belinda, Mel, and Travis for your time. That was good. Thanks. And hope everyone has a great night's sleep. If you're coming back with your car in the morning, we'll be just changing how we're parking. We'll be parking basically on the main road coming in, and we'll have parking marshals there. And then we're probably going to shift the presentation and stuff to inside. It's looking like the forecast is going to be pretty good till like basically race start, and then it'll probably rain. Like it doesn't look like super heavy, but it could be consistent to drizzly. The conditions out there, I mean, a lot of it is kind of like forest road, so it's not too bad, but those single tracks will be slippery. We've marked, the whole course has been marked, but yeah, there's possible wind picking up tomorrow. So some of the markers, yeah, if you do see a marker and it's blown over, I'd appreciate it if you could just peg it back on the tree or fix up the sign or whatever. But yeah, all the best to everyone tomorrow. There's a race briefing 10 minutes before the start of each run. And yeah, have a fantastic time. Thanks. Thanks everyone for coming out.